I had a bunch of like leftover footage from Yeah Right that I wanted to do something with. So I was like, well, why don't we do like a straight up tour where we grab all the chocolate guys, make a video out of hitting the road, but then also use all the leftover footage. That's what Hot Chocolate was. The idea was I was going to start working on the very first full-length Lakai video, Fully Flared. You know, Fully Flared felt different because it felt almost like this super team of dudes. Rumblings of, hey, Guy's gonna come back and start skating again. And I was like, oh yeah, no way. But then he did, man. He got clean and sober and started skating again. Let's get you in the video. And he's like, yeah, I talked to Rick. Like, I wanna film a couple tricks. And I was like, okay, cool, like, let's do it. We started driving up to Ventura. We were gonna go get this trick up there. And he was like, oh yeah, you know, like, I think I wanna film this trick here in Ventura and I have one other thing I wanna film. And then I turned to Guy and I was like, you know, I really want this video to be good and like, I think you should be in it, man. And honestly, like, I don't think I'm gonna finish this video until you have a part. And I just see like all the blood drain out of his face and he rolled down the window and he didn't say anything to me. And I was like, all right, this is awkward. I called him and texted him after that and he didn't reply. And I was like, okay, he's over it. I ended up doing like this big US trip, maybe a month or so after I said that to him. And I hit him up to go, and I didn't think he was gonna go, and he actually ended up showing up at my house that morning. We were gonna go. So Guy jumps in the van, and that was the first time Guy's ever really been on a trip like that, where it was like, we have generators, lights, Bondo, bolt cutters, Sawzall to cut knobs off rails. Whatever you want, we'll make it happen. And I think he was just kind of like excited by it all, really. I remember the very first spot we went to in Arizona had like this long ledge, but there was a tree in the way. And I remember him saying something like, oh, this ledge would be rad if the tree wasn't here. And I got the Sawzall and I cut the tree down. Dude, done. And I just see him like looking at it and I like threw him some wax, like, here you go. And then he ended up doing like lip slide switch crooks across that whole thing. And I think that combination of going on the trips and seeing how all that stuff works and him realizing like, okay, like this guy's dedicated to it, like I want to be dedicated to it, and whatever it takes for me to get this trick, this dude's gonna do it. And that's kind of what I put myself forward for making Fully Flared, was like, you know, if Guy's gonna come back and do a part for this, I'm gonna do everything possible I can for this film. When you first see Guy opening the door and the first couple riffs of that song, it's like you get emotional, man. I remember showing that to Spike in my office, him staring at the screen, and he was like straight up crying, like full on crying, grown man crying. I'm really lucky to have been a part of that. And that is why this video is like so important to me, you know? More so than just these progressive tricks or like the ledge dancing that everyone was doing at that time that everyone says, you know? It's about Guy and everything he's brought to the table and everything he went through and how he rose from the ashes to do this. Spike was in the middle of doing Where the Wild Things Are, and then he came in like the last month, basically. Spike and I had always talked about doing some sort of explosions. I went and found that empty lot and figured out where we could build everything, and then I ended up meeting with Marty Brezen, who's practical effects. I explained to him what I wanted to do, and we just started building all this stuff. You know, I went and took photos of that electrical box and showed it to Marty, and I was like, hey, we gotta build an electrical box like that. And that was actually one of his metal toolboxes that we put on its side that he welded so the doors would come open. It was insane, man. The explosions were gnarly. And right out the gate, Cairo 50's that hub and it just blew up in his face and he had like all these welts over him. I was just like, whoa, this is way too gnarly. I was tripping. I think when everyone showed up there, they were like, whoa, this is serious. And it was. Mike Mo could have died. I mean, put it that way. It was that serious. That was, again, one of those really cool, once-in-a-lifetime fun experiences making this thing, and the intro with the explosions of this thing was insane.
Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah, bro! Come on, my dude, yeah! Fuck yeah! I thought it was on ball.
And then I started working on Pretty Sweet. And when I originally met with everyone at Girl, I was like, oh, I want to do it all in HD, and they were like, no one can watch it, no one has HD TVs, and this was 2007. I was like, trust me, we need to do it on HD, trust me. 2012, when it comes out, 5 years later, everyone has HD TVs. Everyone has a way to download it through iTunes. You know, I saw the writing on the wall back then, and I knew we had to do it.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, that's sick.
Over the course of filming this, I started doing other things outside of skateboarding. One thing led to another where I ended up signing with a commercial production company as a director, and I started directing commercials, legitimate commercials outside of skateboarding, and then next thing I know, I'm directing a Chevy commercial for the Super Bowl. You know, like for me, I was just like, whoa, this is nuts, all this is happening, you know, and I just started as this kid making these skate videos. I needed to rent a Phantom camera. I basically hit up the guys at Brain Farm out of the blue and was like, hey, Ty Evans here, big fan of you guys' work. I was looking to possibly rent a Phantom camera for this project. And as soon as I sent that message over, I ended up getting on the phone with the owner, Kurt Morgan, and we just started talking. And you know, Kurt was like, hey, I'm a huge fan of your work. And I was like, cool, I'm a huge fan of your work. He's like, awesome, let's make a skate film. That was like the first thing he said to me within like 30 seconds. And I was like, oh, I'm in the middle of doing this other one, Pretty Sweet. And he's like, okay, cool, well, when you're done, like, let's make a skate film like nothing ever before. I'm down, you know, I feel like it's time for a change. And so I knew about halfway through Pretty Sweet that when I was done with this, that I was gonna try something bigger than anything that's ever been done before in skateboarding, and do that with Brain Farm and with Kurt. Kurt flew out here and we went to dinner, and he's like, hey, I'm in the middle of making this other film. It's called Art of Flight. Check it out. And he opened up his laptop and he like started showing me footage, and I was just like, whoa, this is insane, some of the stuff he's doing for snowboarding. We gotta do this for skating.
And action.
I think a week after I finished Pretty Sweet, Brain Farm had all the gear down here, and I went out shooting, testing everything with P-Rod, Tori, and Malta. I was just like, whoa, this is gonna be nuts. Usually with the traditional skate film, you just set out with a select group of dudes for a team, and you're gonna go out and film video parts with these guys. This film, when we set out to do it, was like, let's break the mold, let's not do video parts. Let's tell a story, let's go around the world and tell those stories. Let's show the connection within skateboarding. Ultimately, a lot of that was from feedback of meeting with other people. When they were asking me like about the film, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm still kind of trying to figure it out. And you know, I'd ask them like, what do you think the film should be about? And from everyone that I talked to, it always kind of kept coming back about like, dude, skateboarding is like this unspoken thing that we all share. This like unspoken bond, and it's like we're all skaters. You know, it's cool. I think this is the first time in skateboarding we've ever really tried to show some of those things. From there I realized I'm gonna need someone to tell this story. I'm gonna need a main central person to tell that story. And that was like a no-brainer, P-Rod. I've known Paul forever, since he was like this big, when he was like 14, all like rode up. I got to work with him while doing Yeah Right, and that was super fun, amazing project. And man, I've always just been a fan of Paul. Paul's skateboarding is insane. We all know how amazing of a skateboarder Paul is. I called Paul, I'm working on this film and I think it'd be really cool for you to be a part of it. He was actually really excited, and he came by my house that day. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go make my new movie with Brain Farm. He sat quiet for like an hour straight, and I was just doing my spiel, and then finally he just like leans back. He's like, dude, I'm so over video parts. He's like, this is what I want to do. This is the most perfect timing ever that you're approaching me with this. He walked out of there, and I was like, cool, we got our central character, man.
So we ended up talking to Mountain Dew Green Label Films. Boom, they come on board and it was like, okay, the movie's funded. Let's go on our first trip. Let's go to China. China was basically just the testing grounds.
The bumps look so sick from this angle.
And ultimately, it was the proving grounds because we left there victorious. We got so much amazing footage. I just remember calling, "Is that a wrap, boys?" Like on the final day.
Is that a wrap on China, boys? Yes, sir. Thank you, China. Thank you. Let's go home.
That was the best feeling ever, packing up all the gear, getting on the plane, flying home. I'm just like, okay, we can do it. And then from there, it was just whirlwind. China was April of last year, and then from there, it was just boom, 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 go, go, go. This whole film has just been such a cool experience working with all these people, and I've always said it's not my film, it's our film. And I truly think everyone feels like that making this film, which is awesome, because we've all put our heart and soul into it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about grabbing a camera, going out, filming with your friends. I don't care if it's like some crummy old VX1000 in a backpack, or if it's a $500,000 camera system we're strapping on the front of a vehicle. I mean, it's all the same thing. We're just going out, making fun, amazing things with our friends. That's it.
Yeah! That didn't look like it took way too long.